All right, I got to pick up from the last point I was at. I am in between videos. Sometimes I'll be doing like minor tweaks, just alterations of things that irk or freak me out a little bit because I tend to overlook things as I draw. Same as with anything that you do to this extent in regards to like large projects, and that applies to doing things with your hands, like anything blue collar. You have to step back and you have to really like look at your work, before you can move forward sometimes. So, you know, I had the opportunity to step back last night for a little bit and really process what I was doing. And, I just made minor tweaks like his hair, the color of his hair. I just darkened it up. I tweaked his arm too. I felt like his arm was too long on the forearm portion. So I did minor tweaks to pretty much extend the upper portion of his arm or his bicep area. And also the wrapping on his hand didn't make sense to me. And originally the wrapping on his hand, it stopped really pretty high on his elbow back here, and also it wasn't covering his fist. And Guts has hand wraps, or rather the purpose of his arm bandages is also to be sort of hand wraps too for the boxing fans out there. But yeah, I'm gonna move forward. I've actually been thinking about implementing a new technique. I have to finish the cloak. I'm waving the cloak up, and then I'm gonna wave it back down. But I have to do it, because this is traditional hand drawn art. But I have to do it slowly. So let's just move forward here. Okay. So my little trick that I learned here. Well, I didn't learn it, but my little shortcut I plan to implement. Let's tweak this really quickly. See a few mistakes. Oh boy, it's kindergarten all over again. I gotta stay in the lines, mommy. Alright, oh my goodness, look at this. Let me clear out just a little bit of this white. Usually when I plug in or open the background layer, you don't notice these little idiosyncrasies or these minute issues that can occur. Like me, for instance, coloring out a line sometimes, because I tend to do that. But I try not to be lazy here, because I don't know which scenes I'm going to zoom in on and which ones I'm not. So I have to, gotta play it safe all the way through, and get rid of artifacting or mistakes, um, ahead of time to save me headache later. It looks fine for the most part. Oh, also in between videos, I tweaked the sword too. That goes without saying. Just add a little bit more detail to better match the manga. If you saw my previous two videos, I was ranting away. Nothing's changed. I still feel the same. I think the manga is just it's nowhere near as good as it was when the creator Dr. Kentaro Miura was at the helm. So for this, I'm gonna onion skin, and then I'm just gonna follow. Oh, whoa, why is it onion skin? It onion skin both. Looks like it's doing forward and backwards. Let me do a check here. Onion skin, previous, next. So previous is O, alt O is next. So I guess you click alt O. Okay. It shows all of the previous for the onion scan. Wow. I'll look at that later. I'm sure you can turn it. Actually, I think this is it. Previous frames. Yeah. All I need is the first or the previous frame. One previous frame before, not like 5 or 6. Next frame. I'm gonna turn this down to 1, 2. Actually, see what 2 looks like. Yeah, let's do 1. Alright, so my little trick here. Blow this up, make it pretty big. Then what I'm gonna do, because I'm just fluttering it up, so I'm gonna do my little drop. I'm gonna proceed to straighten it out. It's just a shortcut, so I don't have to do the filling later. So 1, awesome. 2, this is gonna save me a lot of headache. 3, I want a nice dip. It's gonna be like about this long. Guts is caping super long. Fun fact, Guts is between the height of 6'8" and 7'7" feet tall. Guts is a big boy. Most people in the manga, most characters at least, humanoid type, when they see Guts for the first time, they all say he looks monstrous. There's something that just, he doesn't look human. And I had a nagging suspicion for the longest that he's like an elf. I think he has like a backstory of being part elf. They say he was his mother died. It was basically a his mother died during his birth. She was found under a tree, and Guts was just there. That's why he has his nickname. His origin is so mysterious, but something about Guts' design, mainly his ears, the way his ears are drawn, really make me think that something's up with Guts genetically. I don't think Guts is a human being, but who knows? Who knows? I'm gonna try one. Actually, I think that's enough. Let's start looping it back up. Yeah, let's start looping it back up. This is a lot of frames I'm gonna have to knock out. To be honest, the faster method would be to put all this on one layer and just do the inking for it. That would be way faster. Because if I put all this on one layer, the inking and the coloring, I could just do the outlining, and I could use the fill bucket and just fill it in. It would be so quick. But the painless option, unfortunately, leaves me with less wiggle room to basically to play around with the layer files later if I need be. And I've learned that especially when it comes to hand drawing, the more painful the process is for you, or the more grueling the task, not only is that makes it more special because no one else is gonna do it. Let's be honest. But well, because you get that freedom to manipulate it later, which is vitally important. So what I'm doing is just arcing it down. It's like flowing back up or whatever, and then I'm gonna drop it back down to the I'm gonna try to make a loop. So as is when it drops back down, it should lead to the first frame. Me personally, I hate lazy animation. I hate loops. And to alleviate me from ever doing loops, I put like randomization in my animations. Like for instance, I'm making a loop now, but I'm likely gonna tweak that loop too, and every keyframe or so often, and tweak the keyframe to be different, so that your eyes aren't getting hit with deja vu. This is gonna be my last frame. Now I'm gonna okay. That looks beautiful. All right. Definite method to my madness here. You just have to kind of, trust the artist. Trust me, this is in good hands, people. It's in really good hands. I have to be careful here not to overlap the dragon slayer with this color layer. It's very important because it's gonna be super noticeable. Hope I'm in the right frame here. Color armor. Yeah, I'm in the right frame. All right, just making sure. All right. Right now what I'm doing is just piecing together the rounded edges here. Simply just adding them to the the side of the dragon slayer in a flush manner. I find this to be much faster than drawing out the ink layer first and then doing the coloring. I could just do the coloring first and then ink over it afterwards. Oof, oh boy. That corner's I don't think it'd be too much trouble because on the ink layer, the outer line for this cloak is pretty thick, so it shouldn't be too much of a headache or an issue. Yeah, I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna properly animate this. Likely in between videos, I'm going to shoot. I might do it on video. I'm going to make this um, piece of wrap dangling down. It's gonna flutter because his cape. If the wind is blowing enough for his cape to his cloak to flutter, this should flutter too. That among other things. There's other little details I have to add in too, but those details are gonna be pretty well animated, and you'll get it later when I do it. These pencil videos are very tricky when I'm concerned, at least, because I have a tendency of jumping around. So it looks like I'm just editing this frame. That's not the case though. I'm not just editing, or rather this this scene. I'm actually jumping around a lot. So there's a lot of that you haven't seen yet that I'm tweaking to. In fairness, if you haven't seen my previous videos and this is your first time um, in my previous videos I was just ranting about the manga and how I hate the route they took with the manga. They completely alienated Dr. Kentaro Miura's vision for Berserk to basically appease their writers. That's the only sucky part about creatives and people who want to pretty much be artistic is they have their own vision of everything. And if you put another artist in charge of an artist's work, it tends to get mutated or changed into something that is not. And Dr. Kentaro Miura doesn't have lightning in a bottle with Berserk. Berserk is just multifaceted. It has many factors to it that makes it incredible and that makes it leagues above everything else in the respectively in the manga and the animation community. Berserk is really a masterpiece. I think we lost Miura too soon, way too soon, man. And I think when he died, the studio doesn't want to admit it, but when Berserk died, we lost Miura's vision for Berserk too. Same concept as Stan Lee from Marvel. Stan Lee is Marvel. When Stan Lee died, Marvel died with him. he invented all of the base characters for Marvel, ranging from he made Spider-Man and the Hulk and Thor and Iron Man. He's the father of all of those characters. And over the years, he's been doing what's called a QC process, or quality control, of the characters and what content is put out by his company and by third party, or you know, sub companies. And he's been doing a stellar job. And once he died, I really understood and appreciated his presence, because so much has changed. They've completely warped Stan Lee's stuff into nonsense. Disney was not. I don't think Disney is the. I don't think they're the proper hands to put Marvel into. But Stan Lee was on his way out. He knew life was about to end. He had to give it to someone, right? And I guess Disney is the most successful company that he could give it to, and he just had to put his trust in them. And of course, they failed him, because we go full circle to what I said about artists. Artists, and that includes writers, they all have their own vision, and they have to get their point across. So when you tell them to do something a certain way, they'll try to comply, but they're still an artist, so they want to share what's in their mind, and that usually destroys the thing or the intent of the original product. And that's usually a disaster when it comes to legends like Kentaro Miura and Stan Lee. When you have artists or creators who are just on another plateau of intellect, you don't take chances. Just stick with their formula. Okay, so after this, there's a tattered piece right here. I'm gonna do a lot of tattered pieces, but I have to make sure this is here. So I'm gonna work on this tatter. Okay. All right, that should be about here. That's about here. Nothing too fancy, just a little something right there. Okay. Yeah, I love Berserk, man. I appreciate anything created by an artist that has like its own flair to it. Berserk is definitely special, man. This is a one of a kind, once in a lifetime creation here. So many things are inspired by this too. One of my favorite video game characters is Cloud Strife. I think Cloud Strife is awesome. Specifically one from the original FF7. But I think he's awesome, man. His design is insane. And what does Cloud have that Guts has? A giant sword. And I got a nagging suspicion Kentaro Miura was the inspiration for it. Like many things. Today people play Dark Souls. People love Dark Souls. Elden Ring, even Bloodborne, which is regarded as one of software's greatest games. All of those games are based on Berserk. Berserk is the reference, the thing that's ripped off, the inspiration, whatever you want to call it. All of that stuff is Berserk, people. Appreciate Berserk. Give Dr. Miura his flowers, man. He deserves it. God put his soul into Berserk. And I could see, as time passed, of course, I could see the relation of Guts' design, just the way Guts looks, and Dr. Miura himself. Guts could easily be a character that's designed or based on the artist, which is awesome. If that's the case, and Guts is based on Dr. Miura, that makes it even cooler, because that's highly difficult to do, to base a character off yourself and make the world fall in love with it. Berserk is so dark, man. Like there's nothing's gonna top Berserk. And I've seen some messed up stuff. It's one of a kind. It's a masterpiece. And I've been waiting for years for a proper adaptation of Berserk. Just a clean, concise, consistent, accurate depiction of Berserk. All you have to do is animate the manga. Animate the manga. That's it. And even that is so hard for us to do. My favorite Berserk content is the movie, of course, but it's the movie from the 90s. And even that movie was very flawed. It had a lot of still frames that could have easily been animated, but let's be honest, like Miura's art it's very difficult to replicate, especially in an animation format. I'm gonna do it, but that's because I don't know how to say it without sounding pretentious, but that's because I'm highly skilled and that's pretty much it. I have the energy and the skill to do it, so I'm gonna do it. I actually feel like I owe him this, man. Dr. Miura is from God. I'm super religious, by the way, but Dr. Miura is from God, man. God put him on earth to give us this beautiful book, and then God took him too soon. I think it's a sign from God. God is saying, hey, I want you guys to finish it. That's a special type of love to be able to share something like this with the world, you know? And I'll do it, man. I'll do it. I'm gonna do it. Watch me do it. You guys can be here for along the ride. You can have my back, or you could say screw me and just ignore it. But this is gonna get done, and it's gonna be beautiful, like everything else I start. If I start up a project, especially art related, and I'm like, hey guys, support this, and you guys don't support it, it still gets done. Everything I've ever touched, oh, it gets done, and I still have it. I'm enjoying everything I make. Admittedly, of artists in general, we love to share. We want to give what we have, you know. But don't make it hard for an artist to give what they have by not acknowledging their hard work, which is what I think happened to Dr. Miura, man. He died. He died too soon, and nobody's continuing his work. I don't care what anyone says. That studio's not continuing his work. I don't know what they're doing. They strayed. They're so disrespectful. He's rolling in his grave. He took his life's work and just turned it into something else. Miura absolutely would not do any of the stuff they're doing. And that's not rocket science. That's just simple observation from a fan of his. It's just nerve wracking. It's all nerve wracking. I'm so I'm so disappointed. They should take like constructive. Well, it's too late. They already put the issues out. They should have inquired what to do next from the fans after Miura died, because it's necessary at this point, you know. And I'm aware Miura is known for throwing curveballs. He throws curveballs all the time in his story, but there's certain curveballs he's never even gotten close to. And one curveball is Guts crying like a little girl because he can't hit someone. That's insane. That was insane. I've never been kicked in the crotch harder than that, man. Why would you do that to Guts? You made him weak. Guts is not weak. All right, take a little thought here. How am I gonna go about this? What I'm focused on is this: behind his elbow. Just thinking of like a quick way to do this. So it's fluttering up, which means it's going to go back. Yeah, so from here, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4. So 4 is going to flow backwards from this frame. So what I'm going to do here is line's a little thick there. Not thick, but far out. Let's do this. Alright, that's fine. Okay. That coloring is on a different layer for his belt. I know it looks like it's on the same layer as the color, but it's not. So I'm gonna be required to like outline like this. If I don't outline or trim next to the inking, oops, sorry. But if I don't outline or trim this close to the inking, it's going to cause the paint bucket tool to paint the entire screen because of gaps. Paint bucket tools in general with any art program, they hate gaps. Or rather, they react to gaps appropriately. So you have to kind of make a perimeter or outline for everything to avoid that issue of the paint bucket going wild and basically destroying your work. And when you work with layers, layers is even worse too because you can't really remember what's like what's trimmed and what's not trimmed. So it could drive you crazy. All right, there's one. It should onion skin. Ah, so nice. And what I say, 4? Yeah, I said 4. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna make it start going inward like that. I'll be extra careful here. Yeah, this is the animation process, people. It's grueling, right? No, a lot of you people are like, oh, well, there's programs and technology that could do this for you and blah, blah, blah. No, man, you got to hand draw art. Hand draw it all. I don't care what tool you have on your computer. My favorite thing personally is a Wacom or a Wacom, a tablet, basically. But if you don't have a tablet, you can use a mouse. You can easily create like AAA or really good art using a freaking mouse. My favorite saying is a bad worker blames his tools. If you can't draw, you just can't draw, man. You should be able to, computer or not, create your art in the same manner as you would on any other medium, in my opinion. And that thing with the tools isn't incorrect, like it's pencil is very limited. That's the name of this 2D animation program, by the way. But pencil is a very limited animation program. It doesn't give you the ability to apply gradients. But again, bad workers blame the tools. So just use your brain and well that's rude. But like just try your best to apply whatever type of common sense you have and kind of figure it out, just figure it out. So it's a full, this bends back fully. I'm gonna drag it down like this a little bit. So I don't see the harm. But yeah, you can't really do gradients in the sense of phasing a gradient from one side to the other of the screen or a large polygon, for instance. So what you could do is you could open an alternate program, export the files from pencil, whatever layer you're trying to edit, whether it be color, ink, lighting, especially lighting. But you can export it to your desktop, open up something like Photoshop, and then just do it in there. Photoshop has a plethora of tools, including perspective tools, which by the way could be integrated into pencil in the future. But it has warping, scaling, perspective tools, the ability to apply gradients, various paint brushes, and I mean like automated, like special pre-created paint brushes that would be vital. It would be so useful. Yeah, but I digress. There's so many things you could do in GIMP that could alleviate you of the. I wonder if I can. Nope. That can rather relieve you of the stress, of not being able to do certain things, which is what I plan to do. I plan to go into GIMP and use GIMP or Photoshop, GIMP or Photoshop to basically do the effects and the large gradients and the details that I just simply can't do in pencil yet, due to its limitations. Beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. That's exactly what I wanted. Now it's going back. It's fluttering back down, so I'm gonna start doing the frames here. Oh boy, the video's been almost 30 minutes. This is a terrible place to end it, but I'm gonna end it here. I don't like uploading really long videos. So all right.